dropping. Feel the hum in your hands. This is 4D. Heat on my palms, grip locked, heart racing. Shoes hit the pedal, whole room shaking. Jersey on my back, hair pulled low and blazing. Every turn I take, got the ghosts I'm chasing. 4D in my veins, feel that fire when I play, when I move, when I break, when I bang through the lane. 4D on my skin, when I lose, when I win, I'm alive in the light of the game I'm in. 4D, 4D, 4D. It's different. Yeah, that's winning. Stamped on the wheel like a crest. I don't just play, I live it. Every stitch says get it. From the couch to the checkered, I'm the storm when I wear it. 4D in my veins.
Hello everyone and welcome to the world's greatest virtual race course. It's Murph, it's Andrew Wood, and that means it's time for Area 51 After Dark, live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Andrew, do we have some fun planned tonight? 500 kilometers of IndyCar action, 120 laps at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's Rectangle Week in iRacing, and Area 51 could not give this one a miss, could they, Andrew?
No, definitely not, Murph. And I almost feel like it's a sin to call any sort of racing kilometers. They did that for Texas Motor Speedway for the longest time, and it confused everyone for a little bit there. So what's your opinion on that?
You know, I have lots of opinions about lots of things. I never really considered kilometers or miles. I just race the things or watch them. I've always paid more attention to the number of laps than anything else. The advertised distance never really got to me. But hey, it's a 500 nonetheless. Most leagues in iRacing, Andrew, they'll run their Indy 500s 2 kilometers just because a 500-mile race here, it can take a while. 120 laps is a lot more accessible to most people with lives on a Tuesday night at 9:30, and so 500 kilometers it is. It makes it neat and tidy, too, as far as strategy. It's a 4-stint, 3-stop race, straight up, right?
Well, that would be the case if we have no interruptions or any cautions or anything like that. But as we see many times in Area 51, something always kind of throws the strategy right out the window. So I would imagine that something like that could happen here. But this is Indianapolis. This is the track where everybody wants to perform their best. So we could be seeing something very different tonight. And hopefully we are green the whole way. And yes, I think it's quite possible that we could just be a 3-stopper tonight, but we do have the lower fuel tank, so there might be a little bit of fuel saving involved.
But do we? I was reading through the Discord earlier. Craig Forsyth had indicated that we may be on full fuel tonight. One of the other things that has been the story in iRacing this week, coming off the Fix 500 and certainly going into the Open 500, is the speeds. They have reworked this car aerodynamically and horsepower-wise, and we are seeing some tremendously fast laps. We're watching Richie Hearn right now on the speedway, and you see the trap at the end, 237, 230. Didn't quite get to 238, but Richie Hearn is on it, Andrew.
Yeah, we see these faster speeds, and that could mean a little bit more drama, perhaps, with if things continue the way they are. The higher speeds always do bring a little bit more excitement to these cars. So 230, would you say 233 at the corner?
He had 236 trap speed down the back. Did not get a read on it through the corners. He has the top time right now, 220. Well, Ryan Kelly just interrupted that. He went a hair over 230 miles an hour. Here's going to be a fast one. We're on board Kyle Clinworth as he flies down the main straightaway, 234 across the yard of bricks. Clindy is going to go to 7th quick. He's on his second lap now. We'll continue to ride along with Clinworth. Nice tidy line through turn 1. He kind of was a little bit late, didn't get all the way to the bottom in turn 2, Andrew.
Yeah, just a little bit off there, but I think that these drivers just have to perfect their entry basis where the wind is. If you have the wind pushing you down into the corner, you could be carrying more speed, and it's just a little bit more difficult to get down there.
Most certainly is. Clinworth coming across the line for his second lap. Little bit quicker that time. 230.935. Jim Herrick, quickest on the board right now. Jim Herrick, the 40 racewear impresario, 231.660 miles an hour. That's going to be a lot of practice from the fixed 500 qualifying. This is the fixed setup. We watch Shane Coker as he turns his laps, and he gets the blink out there as we are done with qualifying, Andrew.
Let's get the grid going.
Let's get it going indeed. On the pole, it's Jim Herrick, 232.665 miles an hour. Matty Wagner to his outside, 232.285. Craig Forsyth, Chris Stouffer are going to be row number 2. Kyle Clinworth, Larry Yingling on row 3. Ryan Kelly, Charles Teed make up row 4. And in row 5, it is Indianapolis 500 starter Richie Hearn. He'll be flanked by teammate Bill Burrell in 10th. 11th, Frank Irwin Jr. Wayne Campbell will start 12th. Mason Mitchum, 13th. No time from 13 on back for Mitchum, Hysong, Coker, Gary Lovern, Gael Brooks, Joseph Morales, Eric Peterson, or Nicholas Stockner through P20. The final two positions, P21 and 22, are going to go to Kurt Rose and Bill Colley, rounding out this field. 22 cars, 120 laps, straight up 4 stints, Andrew. This is going to be a good one.
Absolutely. I think that these drivers are going to put on a really, really good show tonight. No one really ever actually knows what the perfect strategy is at the start of the race. It's just basically finding your way and pick up a few spots here and there. But once it's time to settle in, then it's going to be a lot of drivers playing around with their tools, trying to just keep themselves out of the dirty air, which is very difficult on this rectangle track, which you've so gloriously named.
It is. It's a rectangle. It's not an oval. It's a rectangle. And look, Andrew, it is 4 identical corners, 2 identical straightaways. It is slightly uphill going into turn number 3. It is slightly downhill going into turn number 1, very slightly. The corners are all equal, as are the straightaways and the short chutes, but they are 4 dynamically different corners in the way you approach them and in the way you get through them. Clean air is king. These cars are very trimmed out. If you pick the wrong line through one of these corners, you're not going to have a lot of control over your automobile. You're not going to have a lot of control over your automobile as you try to navigate. So we're going to see a lot of offset lines here. It's going to be an interesting race for certain sure. As we look at the field, the Area 51 drivers back off from the pace car, and we are getting ready to start rolling as they go through the south chute into turn number 2, past the famous suites on the right hand side. Just about to get down to it. If you had to say, Andrew, what is the one thing you've got to do to win at Indianapolis? What is your one key to victory here?
Ooh, just one thing, huh?
I mean, it takes the stars.
It takes a lot. Give me like 10 seconds. I'll give you a really good one. I mean, obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is the pit stops, right? If you're trying to maximize your time on track and not in the pits, you want to have your best pit crew pit stops possible. So that gets you the track position. So I think a lot of just patience patience and a good pit crew are probably my top two things that come to mind as I'm put on the spot here.
I'm gonna have to say strategy as we get ready to see Jim Herrick bring this field to the green flag. This race is often won not by who has the fastest car, but by who's able to figure the best pit strategy. As we see Barney with the green flag in hand, and we are just about ready to get the Indianapolis 500K for the Area 51 IndyCar Series underway. Green flag is out, and we are off and racing. Andrew Wood, 500 kilometers is upon us.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a disjointed start in the mid-pack. It didn't seem like the inside line went going as fast as probably they wanted to go, so the outside line had a little bit of an advantage, and that's something that you could expect here with drivers starting and relying on the drivers ahead of them to get going. But we're all going, and we're all still pointed straight, so that's really, really a good start there. At this point of the race, you're just kind of trying to feel out as Larry Yingling almost makes contact with Kyle Clemworth in turn 3 there. Tires are still not fully heated up yet, so that's going to hurt Larry a little bit. But at this point, it's basically what Larry's trying to do is just trying to feel the car out, play around with the tools a little bit, and maintain position, or if you're lucky, maybe gain 1 or 2 spots.
Yeah, Matt Wagner gained his spot. He went right to the lead on the start, bolted past pole sitter Jim Herrick, and so Matt Wagner leads it, and he is streaking away from Jim Herrick now, 0.6 of a second. Herrick under fire from teammate Chris Stouffer into turn number 3. Stouffer is going to grab that second spot, and he'll head off in hot pursuit of Matty Wagner. Now, there are a couple of different viable strategies here. The first is the one that your teammate, Robert Malechka, likes to use, and that is streak away early, make your pit stop early, cycle out ahead of everybody else, and run flat out. I would wager a guess, and if I had to guess, that guys like Forsyth, Clinworth, they're saving fuel already. They're going to try to cut the pit stop here, which means you got to do 31 to 32 laps at least twice in order to make it on 3 stops. Matt Wagner, given the pace that he's setting, he's not worried about that at all. Chris Stouffer in second, he's not worried about saving fuel. Those two have it turned all the way up. And
I was going to say it's definitely a strategy that some drivers deploy, especially this is the first time that we're racing in Indianapolis with the full-on hybrid system working and everything like that. So it does take a little bit of a different strategy. The weight of the car is a little different. Jim Herrick is in the wall.
Yeah, Jim Herrick has smacked the wall coming off of turn number 2. Let's get back and have a look at what's befallen Jim Herrick off of that turn number 2. Here he is. We also would like to report Eric Peterson does have the meatball. He's going to need to respect that. He's already headed toward the pit lane, but he has also had a brush with the outside retaining wall here at Indianapolis, and they are not forgiving, Andrew. You smack that wall at 220 miles an hour, you're going to break things, and here's Jim Herrick going through 2, and you see very high in the groove, and it's just going to push out there with him on exit. Not much he can do, and smack he goes.
Well, I think that just shows you right there that if you're trying to settle your car and get yourself in a really nice spot to just hang in there and hold position, sometimes you just push it a little bit too much. And I think Herrick might have just gotten a little too much dirty air in turn 2. If perhaps the wind changed or something like that the drivers weren't really expecting too much, that could possibly spell trouble. And unfortunately, Jim was not able to hold on to it. So it's going to be a very uphill battle for Jim here after he gets fast repair.
Well, and to add insult to injury, Jim Herrick hit with a black flag too fast entering pit lane, so he's going to have a 40-second hold to go along with that fast repair. He's already got it. So too Eric Peterson. Peterson is back out on the speedway, 1 lap down in 21st. Wagner and Stouffer have sauntered away from Craig Forsyth and Kyle Clinworth. There's Forsyth in 3rd, and there you see the gap up to Matt Wagner. Kyle Clinworth is another second back from Forsyth, then another 1.2 seconds back to Teed, then another second back to Richie Hearn. To find cars even close together, you've got to head back to Mason Mitchum working on Wayne Campbell. That is 8th and 9th, and that's the distance. They're not even really that close together on the track, Andrew.
I'm trying to figure out what that strategy is actually, Murph. What do you think they're actually trying to do there?
Well, given the disparity in speed, Wagner and Stouffer really about a tenth of a second a lap quicker than everybody else in the field. I think they've got it turned all the way up. I think that some of these guys in the back have the fuel turned down. They're just kind of riding, looking to save as we ride on board Mason Mitchum. I also think, and we kind of know this from the fixed Indy 500. This setup is very understeery, and so it's kind of difficult to follow other cars. The track is a little bit warm too. It's 80 degrees in the air, 115 degrees on the racing surface. That's going to continue to warm as you see Mitchum dive right underneath Wayne Campbell. But there's also a lot of wind, and it's coming from a different direction, and I think that may be throwing the drivers too. Normally, the wind here at Indianapolis in a fixed setup race is a small breeze out of the northwest, so you've got the air on the nose of the cars going into turn 3. It's out of the southwest here, so it's blowing down the front straightaway and giving the downforce into turn 1, as you saw Mason Mitchum go through. Wayne Campbell. That'll move Mitchum up to the 8th spot, but I think that's playing a little bit of havoc too. The wind coming from a different direction, Andrew.
Yeah, it definitely explains the turn 2 issue that Jim Herrick had. If you have the headwind coming down the straightaway, it doesn't really help turn the car very well. So a mix of dirty air plus a little bit of difficulty trying to turn the car, that definitely explains the situation there.
Yeah, if it's coming out of the southwest, that means it's blowing across the car through turn 2 the wrong direction, and so that's going to throw you right into the turn 2 wall right there, and that could have simply caught Jim Herrick out. As we watch Mason Mitchum. Next battle on the track, you've got to go to Shane Coker working on Bill Burrell. This is for 12th. That's 40 Racewear on the top, Votive Racing League on the bottom. Give Shane Coker that 12th spot, or give him that 12th spot. Move Burrell back to 13th, and now Gary Lovern is going to go to work on Bill Burrell.
I find it very interesting, Murph, that these drivers are about a second apart. Usually we see that bubble, the aero bubble there, around 6 or 7 tenths between cars, but it seems like this time around the drivers are spread out by over a second each. And I'm wondering if that's just simply because of the actual air temperature, or perhaps the cars don't handle very well once in any sort of maximum dirty air situation. What do you think that has to do with?
I think it's a combination of 3 things. I think it's a combination of the conditions, especially the wind being in a different direction than maybe these drivers are used to, than they've practiced, because most of these guys have been here for at least a week practicing for the fixed Indianapolis 500. And so I think that's playing into it. You know, they don't have the tools dialed up for the wind being from a different direction. I think you've got a lot of fuel saving going on. And to your point, I also think that this car, just setup-wise, is very difficult to follow in. It was very difficult in the fixed race that we all saw on both P1 and the iRacing official sites. It was very difficult for those drivers, even the top split guys. It was very difficult for them to make a pass, and so I think that it's a combination of all 3 of those things. Kurt Rose not having any problems making passes. He started out back. He's up to 14th. He's made it by Bill Burrell. So Kurt Rose is coming toward the front. Matt Wagner continues to lead it, and there's the advantage. The front 5 really strung out. There's 1.2 seconds between Wagner to Stouffer, Stouffer to Forsyth, Forsyth to Clinworth, Clinworth to Teed, and Richie Hearn is within a second of Charles Teed, and then another 1.2 back to Ryan Kelly. So these cars are very, very spread out.
I'm actually watching Bill Burrell losing more and more spots. I'm not sure if something is wrong with the car, but he's been passed by pretty much everyone down the field. They're getting by him with ease, which is even more of a head scratcher for why the drivers up front can't really stay close to one another. And I'm sure that there's some sort of fuel safe situation going on right now, but you see Kyle Brooks is the next car that is trying to make his way by Bill Burrell. Nicholas Stockner just got by, but Bill Burrell has lost I believe, 7 positions now from where he had finished at the end of lap 1 there. So interesting that that's happening to him. Like I said, I think there's probably something wrong with the car, or perhaps there's just something wrong with him holding on to the position in the dirty air. So we'll have to keep that going. But you were talking about the distance position between all these cars. That makes the pit stop all the more important, which you were asking me about earlier in the race. What's the most important strategy? And right now it's the pit stop to try and jump the person ahead of you, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be that easy to get those positions on track.
Yeah, I wonder, we're on board with Bill Burrell. I wonder if he's smacked the wall with that car. It does not sound like it's all the way up to full song. He's not on the chip going down the straightaways. He's in 6th gear. But he has got a handful of wheel, Andrew, going through these corners. You don't want to see, if you're racing Indianapolis, and you know this better than anybody, you do not want to see drastic inputs. He's almost got that thing 75, 80 degrees over going through turns 1 and 3. Look at how hard he's turning that wheel, and that's going to do 2 things. One, it's going to work the right front really a lot. It's going to heat that corner of the car up, but also it's going to slow you down. It's going to scrub a lot of speed, and you saw that happen in turn number 2. He's going to get passed by Frank Irwin Jr. Through is going to go Gael Brooks as well.
Jim Herrick just got by also, but he's a lap down now because of his incident earlier.
Yeah, and just to compare it, let's jump on board with Joseph Morales as he looks to the inside of Bill Burrell. Look at how much less Morales is turning the wheel than Bill Burrell. So that tells me either that car is very ill handling for Bill Burrell, or he's made contact and somehow rearranged the geometry on the front of that machine.
Yeah, I've checked the side pod of the Bill Burrell car. I don't see any damage, so it's possible that he's gotten away with no damage if he has hit the wall. But yeah, it might have messed up the suspension a little bit. But there's definitely something about that car that is making him kind of just fall through the field there.
Yeah, looking at it up close, it doesn't seem as though there's any damage to it. I don't see any scrapes on the floor. There's nothing obviously amiss. That doesn't mean anything, though. Of course, it can be a situation where there's hidden damage, and that happens often here at Indianapolis. Light contact, it doesn't show up on the car, but it definitely can hurt you. Back up at the front, putting a hurting on the field is Matty Wagner. He's pulled out to 1.4 seconds over Chris Stouffer, and we're gonna see that strategy revealed within the next 10 laps or so. You need to make it again 32 laps on a couple of these runs in order to make it a 3-stopper. Matty Wagner, the lap times would suggest, is not going to make that, Andrew.
Yes, and as you were talking about looking at Bill Burrell's car, I watched Frank Irwin Jr. unfortunately did collect the wall, and he has now come down pit lane. That floor is damaged, so he's going to be probably using that fast repair to see if he can get that speed back in the car. But that just begs the question for a different kind of strategy right now, Murph. I'm wondering kind of if we go off strategy a little bit and not do something that's the same as every other driver around you, could that possibly put you in a better spot? Because we've seen these drivers just say, okay, well, I'm just going to, do my stint, and then when it's time to pit, it's time to pit. But maybe Frank Irwin Jr. getting a little bit of damage here might get him a few spots later on in the race if a yellow falls to the right time.
It's possible. If you're Frank Irwin Jr., Eric Peterson, Jim Herrick, what you want is for the whole thing to cycle through. So everybody makes a green flag pit stop, and then at some point before your next stop, you want this race to go yellow so that it equalizes the strategy for everybody. That's what you want if you're those drivers. You don't want to be the yellow, but you definitely want it to go yellow at some point. We're watching Mason Mitchum, and we're going to hop on board Mace because he is hunting Ryan Kelly. He's been one of the few that have been able to make moves through this field, Andrew. He's in 8th, and he's looking at Ryan Kelly for 7th.
That's very interesting, Murph, because I think that someone that saves their tires and doesn't really try their best to just hang on to the back of the car that they're chasing possibly could have some tire life at the end of the stint here. And we're getting very, very close to the end of the stint, so it's quite possible that perhaps, oh man, Jeff Heisong just dove into the pits, and I don't know if he sped or not, but that was very, very close there. But yeah, if you saved your tires, you could possibly pick up a spot.
You could. Mason Mitchum just about came to grief. We were watching it. He just about spun that car coming off of turn number 2. He kept hold of it and didn't hit anything. But Mason Mitchum, that tells me that he's got a lot of weight jacker dialed into that vehicle. Caution is on the speedway. It is Jeff Heisong. Jeff Heisong has brought out the first caution of the event, and we need to go find what's happened to Jeff Heisong.
Well, he was in the pits. That's interesting. I just mentioned that he had come in for a pit stop, and I thought he sped, but wouldn't he be in the pit lane?
Yeah, we saw him slide through. He is ejected from the server. We've also got and we've also got Nicholas Stockner slow. So let's see if it was Stockner and not Heisong. Watching Stockner now. Heisong is just punched out. He never left the pit lane. There's Stockner, so he gets the wiggles coming off of turn 1, saves it, gets down into turn 2. He's very high, Andrew, and around that 124 is going to go on the exit of turn 2. And we got to go back and watch. The view from Shane Coker. You see Stockner back it into the wall, but that's not Shane Coker. That is that Gael Brooks? It is.
Yes.
Watch this. Now this is going to be fun. Look at what are you thinking when you see a car get that sideways off of turn 1 and then you see him get that high going into turn 2? What's your thought process there, Andrew?
Man, you're just hoping that you can drive your way through it. And one tip that I got from one of my buddies that raced Skip Barber and was trying to make his way into the open wheel ranks and everything was go where the car started to spin, because he won't be there afterwards. That's kind of the main strategy you try and take when you see cars spinning ahead of you, and that's exactly what Brooks did. You saw the car start to get a little bit loose there, and you're like, all right, well, he started spinning there. I'm going to put my car exactly where he started spinning, and it worked out for him.
It did indeed. Do want to thank series sponsor 4D Racewear for all that they do for the IndyCar community. Sim racing apparel, shoes, hats, gloves, championship rings. 4dracewear.com has got you covered. We want to thank them for their support of the Area 51 IndyCar series. We've got some split strategies here, Andrew. Kyle Clinworth, Mason Mitchum, Shane Coker stayed out. And so they have not pitted. Chris Stouffer is your leader coming off of pit road. Everybody behind him made the pit stop. They are going to line up 4th on back. So Clinworth, Mitchum, Coker stayed out. Stouffer on back have the fresh tires.
Well, this will be a very interesting way to see what happens when we go green here, if the track position means more than the tires. I'm pretty sure the tires are going to mean something, especially with the track conditions and the temperature and everything that we see happening. But it's quite possible that just staying out is going to give you some sort of track position that you didn't have before, and perhaps it'll keep you up there. And we were talking about you got to do something a little bit different than the other drivers around you. And it could pay off later on. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Those that were wondering about Jeff Heisong came into the pits and he didn't speed. I double-checked that as we were watching the incident earlier.
No, he didn't, which was amazing. Yeah,
he box.
Yeah, he abandoned the race when he got there. But this is going to be interesting because Clinworth and that crew, they're going to have to stop pretty shortly after the green flag waves. I would estimate they've only got six or so laps of green flag running left in the tank. They're going to have to stop, and then their goal is going to be, once they stop, to start the swap and make as good a time as they can, because it's going to be very difficult for them. They're essentially in a situation where everybody else out there is going to be running really slow, trying to make it on 2 more stops. Those guys are going to be flat out with the wick turned all the way up trying to catch them. The old tortoise and the hare feature. Do want to welcome this guy, 3118, into the chat. He says, "Go Sox." I don't know about that. I do note that the Atlanta Braves are currently beating the Chicago Cubs, which is causing no amount of consternation for Miss Natalie. She's in there watching her beloved Cubs take the L tonight. Andrew, always music to my ears when you see the Cubs, when you see and hear the Cubs lose in a baseball game. But I digress.
Murph, you're very, very ambitious to see if these cars are going to swap drafts. I don't think that the way that the tires probably are on these 3 cars, it is not going to be any swap draft situation. Maybe for the first lap or 2 or so, but it's going to really, really streak out from there. And then we're going to see the drivers with the new tires, is my guess. I haven't seen a race here yet, but we'll see what happens.
Well, look, I think if there's 2 guys in the field that can do it, well, there's probably 2 groups of drivers as we get in the grandstands to watch this restart. There's probably 2 groups of drivers that could do it. The Clinworth-Mitchum duo, those 2 are known to be communicating in Discord together, and so if there's 2 that could do it, it would be Mitchum and Clinworth. The other group that I would think that might try it would be Stouffer and Forsyth. If they can get hooked up and get together, they might do so as well. It's going to require some communication in order to make that swap work, is what I'm getting at.
I think Gary Lovern had an incident coming to the green flag. He's pitting, I believe. He was right in the middle of that pack, and there was some sort of checkup that happened, and he had some contact.
Well, let's see.
Kurt Rose had to take evasive action there. That was a very, very bizarre incident. It was definitely a checkup incident coming to the green.
Yeah, let's have a look. We're watching Gary Lovern. As the green flag came out, he was buried pretty deep in the field, coming across to get the green. Nothing there. And maybe the contact has already occurred. He was very high through turns 3 through turn 2. Don't see anything there, but he is definitely down. Let's see if something happened.
Yeah, it was the stack up coming to the green. Yeah, a little bit before that.
Yeah, there you go. So there's Lovern.
At a turn 3.
Oh, so we got to go.
Way back.
Way back. Okay, there it is. There's the concertina. That's tough for Gary Lovern. He's back out, having effected the fast repair, but he's 1 lap down, and he's right in line behind Matt Wagner in 5th. Clinworth and Mitchum did affect the swap a little bit. They've been able to pull out an advantage. Critically, Chris Stouffer has not been able to get around Shane Coker.
You know what's interesting is coming out of turn 2, Stouffer had a run there, but he just kind of sat behind Coker, and I'm wondering if Stouffer is just going to take into account that no one's really going to pass him. He knows that he can hold the lead and not get passed, so he's just going to sit here and wait for these drivers to pull off course and not really do anything more to get by them, and that's going to allow Stouffer and the drivers behind to save a little bit more fuel. So it is a little bit of a clever strategy, and I wonder if that's something you can see that Stouffer's got a little bit of a run. He definitely can get a run and pass him down the back straightaway. Does he do it, or does he just kind of hang there? Nope.
Yeah,
he hangs there.
Yeah, we're going to go on board Chris Stouffer. You can visibly see on the rev counter. You can hear it in the motor. He is not trying to pass Shane Coker, saving as much fuel as he can. He also knows that he's got, I'm not going to say a friend, but more of a frenemy behind him in Matt Wagner. And then you've got Craig Forsyth in that mix, who is a teammate. And so Stouffer's just going to wait this out. Clinworth, Mitchum, and Coker are going to have to pit anytime. They're going to be due on pit lane. I would surmise within the next 1 to 3 laps. They can't go much further than where they're at now. So it's just a matter of how much fuel did they save, how much are they willing to, how long are they willing to stay out. Clinworth is pulling away. He's got about 1 3/4 seconds over Christopher, and so that is to his advantage. The further away Clindy can get, the further out of the draft envelope he's going to be from Christopher.
I think it's actually kind of interesting that you were mentioning that that it's possible they could swap draft. There's no swap drafting going on, obviously. It's very difficult to follow, it seems, based on the current track position. But I would have thought with the lesser fuel that the 3 drivers up front have right now that they could possibly just pull away with the clean air. But Stouffer and the rest of the drivers that pitted are actually staying kind of close right now. So I think that
I got
kind of waiting to see what happens with these 3 drivers.
I've got one for you here, Andrew. The pace is very slow at the front. We saw laps in excess of 221 miles an hour from Matt Wagner earlier in this one. Fast lap of the race, Eric Peterson, 221.4. Kyle Clinworth ran his last lap 214 miles an hour. So that tells me they've got those cars turned all the way down at the front of the field. You see Stouffer move to the inside of Shane Coker, and he's finally going to make that move. They've got it all. They've got those cars turned all the way down. They're trying to maximize the number of laps.
We're having pits now, Murph. They're coming in.
They are indeed. Clinworth, Mitchum, and Coker are going to bring it down the pit lane. We will cover these stops for these 3. Alternate strategy heads for the pit lane, led by Kyle Clinworth. Is it going to be a situation where the tortoise or the hare pays off? We're about to find out. Clinworth into his pit box. He is clean. Nobody sped getting on the pit lane. Clinworth up on the jacks. And now it's going to be a matter of where does he come out?
Yeah, they're definitely going to beat the leaders out of the pit lane. You can pit and not lose a lap here, which is always very beneficial for that. But also, interestingly, you see what lap we're on right now. They pit at the end of lap 33, and they're sticking to the 3-stop strategy that we were talking about on the pre-race there. So, obviously, we had some yellow thrown in there, so that's going to mix it up a little bit. But they don't have to go 33 laps every time. They only have to go, 31, essentially. 32 to make it to the end. So they could do 30, 30, and 30 from here, add another lap somewhere in there. And if they were all working together, they possibly could still get it done.
Well, you can do 31 laps fairly easily here in map 3, which is going to be much quicker than what the leaders are running. Let's flop back to Christopher because he's now staked himself to a 2-second lead over Matt Wagner. Last time through, Christopher had it turned all the way back up. So Stouffer's going for it. Wagner's going for it. Forsyth and that group, they're still saving fuel. Stouffer is elected to go. That tells me he's comfortable with making a splash at the end. So to Wagner, I think Forsyth, Kelly, Hearn, those drivers, and there's Ryan Kelly in 4th, those drivers are going to try to cut the pit stop and make Clindy essentially run the extra lap. It is a battle for championship positioning too. Ryan Kelly leads this championship by 17 points. Larry Yingling is only 47 back. We've only got 2 races to go after this, Andrew, and so if you're Ryan Kelly, do you feel the need to do something different here? Do you feel like maybe Clinworth has his hand forced and maybe Clindy is kind of forced to do something different? Kind of talk me through that thought process.
Well, as you were talking through that, I actually think that those 3 drivers are on the optimum strategy right now because they only have to do 2 more stops, potentially, if they're able to go 31. Every other driver in this field that pit during that last stop has to do 3 more as well. They'll stop somewhere in the 50 and then 80 and then 110 range. So they have 3 stops left, and the other drivers only have 2. So if those 3 drivers are able to actually run those 31 laps, they will just based on their own pace, they could possibly jump those drivers. So that's what the reason was for staying out. It was a very tough fuel save as it was. They got the track position. They stayed out the extra laps because of the yellow. So I think it's in every right for the three of them to think a little bit differently. And yeah, in terms of the championship, I think Ryan Kelly needs to possibly think outside the box as well to maybe outsmart Kyle in his own game, really. It seems that it's possible that Kyle probably has the better strategy right now, but a lot can change in the next 86 laps.
Well, here's another one for you. Kyle Clinworth, last lap, 41.592. He's a half a second slower than Stouffer and Wagner at the front of this field. He's running about the same pace as Craig Forsyth, so it tells me that Forsyth is saving fuel, but it also tells me that Kyle Clinworth is saving fuel. And the other thing is that this man right here, Shane Coker, and there's Coker. If you look off the back of Shane Coker, that car behind him that's coming, that's Chris Stouffer. So Chris Stouffer is about to be in the draft of the cars at the tail end of the lead lap. That's something that could help Stouffer. Also want to point out that Mitchum and Clinworth are right together now, and so let's see if they elect to start swapping, because Mason Mitchum has caught Kyle Clinworth for that 15th spot. And there you see the interval. They're swapping, but they are not far away from going a lap down here, Andrew.
You know, you were talking about Stouffer's closeness to Coker, but in fact, it seems that Coker has been running faster laps than Stouffer was the last few laps. So it was actually a little bit closer before, but it really is showing that the new tires mean a lot here. And even though you're sort of close to that draft, it's not really actually helping you so much. So that's something to contend with as well if people want to possibly go off strategy here. Coker actually is quite a few tenths faster than Stouffer lap over lap.
Yeah, this time through, Shane Coker ticks the watch. 41.236, 41.081 for Stouffer. So it's kind of a tit-for-tat match. There's the interval right on the roll hoop of Chris Stouffer as he tries to chase down Shane Coker. Coker is about 2.2 seconds ahead of Chris Stouffer, so he's outside of the draft envelope. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in to the P1 Broadcasting channel tonight for Area 51 After Dark. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel to get in on all of the iRacing fun. It's Rectangle Week, Andrew Wood, and we're going to be here all week. Tomorrow night, we're off. Thursday and Friday, we've got the AMA Grand National Series Thursday, the Truck Series Friday, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start, and then the big ones. Friday night, 9 o'clock, time slot number 1, top split simulcast on iRacing.com. Don't miss it. It's the beginning of the iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 Open, and that's the one everybody wants to win. Time slot number 1, Friday night at 9. Time slot number 3, Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, both of them on iRacing.com. P1 will be producing the Friday night show. Huge deal for us, Andrew. Don't want to miss that for sure.
Don't want to miss that at all. It's kind of the setup for the real thing on Saturday, the big broadcast race that everyone looks forward to. So we definitely see quite a few drivers coming and showing their stuff there and testing out some things, and it's definitely going to be an interesting one.
You know it is. That's the one that everybody spends all the time on. That's the one that we practice for months. You and I had a terrific duel last year in the Sunday morning top split, where you unfortunately ran out of gas. I threw the block, won the race, but that was a fun battle between us. You and I had a pretty good time doing that. At least I did. I don't know about you, but.
Yeah, I can't believe that was almost a year ago. Well, just about a year ago.
It was almost exactly a year ago, and here we are getting time for that. Are you going to try to lay down a time and get into that Saturday race, or are you going to give it a miss?
I'm going to give it a try, but a little bit rusty, so we'll have to see how it goes.
I'm going to tell you this. Qualifying in Indianapolis was hard enough. It was hard enough when it was just having to keep up with tools. As we watch Christopher, he has now caught, for all intents and purposes, Shane Coker. 22 laps into the current run for Stouffer, 11 for Coker, and so we're going to see Stouffer on the pit lane, I would anticipate, with about lap 53, lap 54 perhaps. I thought it was difficult when you just had to worry about tools. Now that you have to worry about the hybrid, deploy, and regen and all that mess, Andrew, it's added a whole different level of nuts to it. But like you, I think I'm going to give it a shot. I know your team over at Powerslide has a decent setup ready to go for you. The Alliance guys have been working for about the last 6-8 weeks on our stuff. I think Chad Simpson's 5th on the board, so we've got a pretty good rocket. It's just a matter of whether or not you can hang on to it for 10 miles.
Yeah, and of course, like you mentioned, just getting that hybrid deploy and regen strategy going is a whole different beast. And you see how close those times are in the qualifying session, and it's the first through 33rd top split guys are within a tenth and a half or so. So, you deploy or regen at the wrong time and you easily lose a few hundredths, and it's a 4-lap average, which could really, really throw a wrench into the gears for those that are trying to make that extra speed there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to a few hundredths of a second from the top to the bottom of that front 33. Looking at Richie Hearn, he has closed in on Ryan Kelly for that 4th spot. Hearn is 5th, Kelly 4th. Kelly, of course, the points leader. Richie Hearn, numerous starts in the real-life Indianapolis 500. He was Rookie of the Year here. Richie Hearn is hunting down Ryan Kelly for the 4th spot. Hearn is on the same strategy as Stouffer, Wagner, Forsythe, and Kelly. They all stopped under that first yellow. But they're just about ready to come in. And when they do, we're going to see what the interval is between themselves and Clinworth and Mitchum, because Clindy and Mason Mitchum are lapping a couple of tenths of a second quicker than Chris Stouffer at the moment.
Yeah, Stouffer seems to be catching Coker, but really can't do much about trying to pass him and put him a lap down right now. So right now it seems that the Clenworth and Mitchum strategy is still the optimal one, but things could change if they hit pit road. If Stouffer has a really, really good pit stop, he could come out right in that Clenworth Mitchum fight there. So we'll have to see what happens here. And I think we're about 5 laps away from that next pit stop.
Yeah, it's going to be somewhere within those next 5 laps. We had targeted anywhere between 53 and 55 being that next stop. While we watch Richie Hearn and Ryan Kelly, I came up with, because I know Andrew Wood is a student of automotive racing history, and so I've come up with 5 questions for Andrew Wood tonight, and a bonus to test his Indianapolis and IndyCar knowledge. These are Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar drivers named Louis. I wasn't joking, Andrew. I'll give you the easiest one. This Louis currently drives a car owned by a former Indianapolis 500 winner and a famous Indiana comedian. Name that Louis, Andrew Wood.
That would be Louis Foster.
That is Louis Foster. So you got the easy one. I'll give you another, and this is probably also pretty easy. You've been to the Speedway Museum, right?
Yes.
So you've seen this. This Louis' wife made him a crown and bracelet containing his 4 AAA National Championship medals.
I'm going to go with Louis Meyer.
Louis Meyer. So he's got the first 2, race fans. Richie Hearn dives the inside of Ryan Kelly, and that is a Ryan Kelly noting that Richie Hearn is faster. You go right on ahead. No contest from Ryan Kelly on that pass from Richie Hearn, and Richie Hearn will start to get up the road. We're going to go back to Chris Stouffer because he is entering the pit window at any moment. Not going to stop this time. Not going to stop this time. But Chris Stouffer looking to see if he can't pick up some time on pit road. And when he hits it, we're going to see it. Nobody has yet stopped out of that front group. Frank Irwin Jr. just hit pit road, but he is one lap down to the leaders. And so we're awaiting Chris Stouffer, who is the leader, to get onto pit lane. Really high Stouffer coming through turn 3. Wow.
Yeah, Shane Cooker is definitely the cork in the bottle here, as the top two have pulled away, and Stouffer can't really do much right now about Shane Cooker up ahead of him. It seems that he gets close, but he just can't quite get it done there going into turn 1.
Can't quite do it. Chris Stouffer continues to be bottled up behind Shane Coker, and with it having to make an extra pit stop, Andrew, you wonder why Stouffer just doesn't pull it in and get out from behind Shane Coker rather than continue to follow him. You know he's losing time. Another 0.3 of a second to Kyle Clinworth and Mason Mitchum that last time through.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's just a matter that he can keep the drivers that he's on the same strategy with behind right now. So Matt Wagner has fallen off a little bit off the back of Chris Stouffer the last several laps or so. So I think Stouffer can have a nice, easy pit in and possibly get that position up closer to where Clemworth and Mitchum are.
Well, and here's the thing, too. When they come out of the pit, Stouffer's going to have the fresh tires and be the rocket. Clinworth, Mitchum, and Coker, they're going to have old tires. They're going to be all worn out because they've been on the track now for 20 laps. So they're going to be at the end of their runs, while Stouffer is at the beginning of his. He's been out 31 laps. Chris Stouffer is going to go for another. Matt Wagner pulls it into the pit lane. Craig Forsyth is going to stay out. So Wagner will hit the pit lane after 31 laps, but Chris Stouffer, he's going to go for another.
And Forsyth gets passed by Jim Herrick, which is not going to help the dirty air situation that Forsyth has been just having the he gets a little high there in turn 2, and Forsyth is now losing time even more to Matt Wagner, or to Chris Stouffer.
Yeah, he's 5.3 seconds back of Stouffer. You think maybe that was an organized pass between teammates? Maybe Forsyth wanted to save a little bit of gas. Here comes Chris Stouffer onto the pit lane. Does he get it woed up in time? Stouffer in cleanly. So that will hand the lead to Craig Forsyth. And I got to believe that Craig Forsyth is saving fuel right here, Andrew.
Yeah, that's quite possible.
His last lap, 42.115, he is visibly off the pace. Last time through for Craig Forsyth, 213.7 miles an hour. So he is running much slower, but we've seen this out of Craig before in the past, haven't we?
Yes, we certainly have. And Richie Hearn joins him, and Ryan Kelly also joins the fray there.
Forsyth.
Looks like Ryan Kelly had a longer pit stop than he wanted.
He
Actually,
did.
bad.
Wayne Campbell has the meatball. And there comes Wayne Campbell onto the pit lane, so he'll have to take the fast repair. Right now, all eyes on this man, Craig Forsyth. How long can he stretch that? He's been out 34 laps. Can he make it? He's going to have to make it at least a lap 60 to have any kind of a shot, and then he'd have to make 33 and 32 laps. So he's going to have to go at least 2 more if he wants to cut that pit stop.
I think Craig has called his pit, so he's coming in this lap. So he's not going to make it to that 60, and a little bit more aggressive of a pit in than we saw.
Whoa!
Aggressive indeed.
Yeah, how aggressive is this? Craig Forsyth gets on him. He did not speed, but that car came out from underneath him right at the speed limit sign. I don't think he hit it, but he got awfully doggone close, Andrew.
That's what you call an optimized pit entry there. And I was watching him compared to Stouffer. Stouffer came in very, very conservatively, and I think that's ultimately going to hurt him getting out in the Mitchum and Clemworth battle.
Well, critically, Stouffer did come out in the lead, and so he did. Mitchum and Clenworth did not leapfrog into the lead. Chris Stouffer has that lead. Critically, also, Matt Wagner was able to get back in the draft of Clinworth and Mitchum. And so they're losing to Stouffer, and Wags is also in the fight with them as well. They do not want to give up that position. One, it's track position, but also they don't want to give it up because they don't want to be behind. That's more cars that they would be behind, and that would definitely hurt the handling as they are at the end of their runs, 26 laps out on the current run. And Chris Stouffer, purple lap, 2:21.511. So that's not what Clinworth and Mitchum want. They've already fallen a second and a half behind Chris Stouffer. They're in danger of losing the draft from him already.
And we were watching Wagner try and navigate his way by Clinworth just before, and it doesn't seem like there is much gap there. I think they got about Clinworth, Mitchum, and Coker have about 6 laps left right now on their strategy. So right now they're just kind of in the way, in a sense. Anyone who's just pitted is going to want to do their best to try and get by. And the dirty air is such a big thing here, Murph. It seems that these drivers that are out on these old tires are just holding up everyone that's behind them. And that's going to make things very interesting in terms of the gaps of these drivers that are on different strategies.
It will. I'm looking at the lap times that are being turned in now. Stouffer is riding a rocket ship. He's 3 miles an hour a lap faster than Mitchum and nearly 4 a lap over Clinworth as they run on the racing surface. It's a situation where Chris Stouffer has now broken the draft. The best battle on the track is this one. It's Kyle Clinworth in third, Matty Wagner in fourth. It's not going to be a battle for long, though, because Kyle Clinworth is going to have to bring that car to pit lane not too much longer.
There's also some other lapped cars that are in the mix of these top 7 drivers. Also, Gary Lovern is kind of stuck in the middle of this battle with Coker as well. Lovern has recently pitted. And Coker is, obviously, as we mentioned, getting close to the end of his run. And Lovern isn't able to do much right now, just hanging on the back there. But that's hurting Craig Forsythe's forward momentum as well.
It is. Well, and you also got to remember and take note, Lovern and Coker teammates. And so, Lovern, even though he's a lap down, he is the first car 1 lap down. He's the only car 1 lap down. We've had 3 retirements. Eric Peterson, Charles Teed, and Jeff Heisong, all 3 teammates, all 3 out of this one at Indianapolis. But Gary Lovern, if there's a yellow light, he doesn't want to back up because, he stands to get the lucky dog and get back on the lead proper if something is to happen. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all the iRacing fun. Shane Coker hits the pit lane at lap 64 of 125. Mason Mitchum has gone past Kyle Clinworth, and he has pulled out a big advantage now over Clindy, 1.3 seconds. Matt Wagner is about half a second behind Clinworth, but Mitchum and Clinworth are going to have to make a stop here within the next lap or two, Andrew.
Yeah, and we're obviously watching that alternate strategy there to see if Clinworth and Mitchum come out ahead of Stouffer. I think as of now, they will not fall a lap down to Stouffer. But yeah, they're definitely on that alternate strategy, and it's very interesting when you watch which strategy is going to be the one that comes out ahead here, because right now it really isn't cut and dry.
No, it's not. Mitchum continues to circulate in second. Clinworth is third, the 1.3 seconds behind. They've got Wagner behind them. And then Shane Coker is going to filter out behind Matty Wagner, 1 lap down in 17th. All eyes on Mason Mitchum and Kyle Clinworth. When are they going to stop? Here comes Mitchum onto the pit lane. So too Kyle Clinworth. Big lockup for Mitchum. He and Clinworth get it slowed down, so that's going to turn the lead back over to this man. He's been in the lead, but Chris Stouffer now with a 6-second advantage over Matt Wagner in second. There's Matty Wags. Craig Forsythe is third, some 4 seconds behind him. Forsythe stuck in lap traffic behind Gary Lovern. Richie Hearn is fourth, and Wayne Campbell is now 5th. Ryan Kelly, Larry Yingling, or there's Yingling, Ryan Kelly, Nicholas Stockner, Kurt Rose, and Guile Brooks, the remainder of the top 10 right on top of each other, and this is the best battle on the racing surface, and they've all just stopped not too long ago.
Ryan Kelly's getting passed right now. As you were mentioning, this battle is very heated at the bottom part of the top 10 there. Kurt Rose is trying to find some clean air behind, but he can only watch the 2 cars up ahead battle. And yeah, it looks like Nicholas Stockner has recovered from that incident that brought out the yellow earlier in the race. So good on him to recover there. But yeah, it's interesting that some of these cars are able to follow each other through it all, which we don't really see too much up the front.
Well, and let's look. Guile Brooks, we're going to get on board with him. He's right behind this battle. Up the inside is going to go Kurt Rose. He's going to fire it in there on Ryan Kelly, and Kelly does not want to see that. He's in a championship battle. Kurt Rose lost all of his momentum off the corner, but Guile Brooks can't take advantage. But look at how slow Guile Brooks is going through these corners. He was down under 200 miles an hour in turn 4.
Yeah, that's definitely not something that you want to see. And we've seen Guile Brooks take evasive action a couple times already this race. So Kurt Rose is going to relinquish that position to Guile Brooks there. So Guile takes a 1 spot there and is going to go forward to see if he can catch Ryan Kelly.
We'll move back up and take a look at Nicholas Stockner, Ryan Kelly. Kyle Clinmore sets the fastest lap of the race. He's now cracked the 222 mile an hour barrier, 40.508. Once again, 0.3 of a second quicker than Chris Stouffer, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Stouffer was what I would declare to be the winner of round 1, but he may have to make an extra pit stop, Andrew, and that could put the whole thing into make the whole thing moot. There's going to come a point where, if there's a yellow in a certain situation, there's going to come a point where that yellow is either going to make or break the Stouffer strategy or the Clinmore strategy, and we don't know which way that's going to go until it happens. If it doesn't happen, I'm still with you. I think Clinworth, Mitchum, and Coker are going to be your podium based on everybody else having to make that extra stop.
Well, we saw Mason Mitchum really try and push it there to get his lap back. So now he's the last car on the lead lap, and Clemworth doesn't want to be a lap down. So you'll see that Clemworth is really, really pushing it right now, and he's going to want to try and get his lap back.
Well, he is a lap down right now, but he's going to fire it to the inside of Christopher going into turn 1. The problem for him is that Mason Mitchum is down there, and Mitchum is feeding that number 11 a lot of dirty air. Stouffer is very wisely just going to drive it up the hill and say, hey, go ahead and take it.
Well, you saw what Mitchum did there. He left the inside open for Clendy to take that clean air down the inside in turn 2, and Stouffer, like you said, just said, you know what, you're faster right now, you got the fresher tires, go for it. But right now, as you were mentioning, if a caution were to come out, these 2 drivers are on now the lead lap, so they'll cycle all the way to the back of the line there, and we'll have to see if possibly they're going to start working together now and get some distance on Chris Stouffer, because it looks like the way that it's going now, Stouffer actually has a little bit of an advantage to pin these guys a lap down should a caution come out in a favorable time for his strategy.
Well, if it came out right now, I would think that everybody would cycle through the pit lane, and these guys would be stuck back in 15th and 16th. That's what I mean. There's going to be if there's a yellow, it's going to be where it falls in the cycle as to who it benefits, because where it falls is going to determine whether or not Clinworth and Mitchum, whether or not they come into pit lane or whether they stay out. To get back to our Louis questions, here's a good one for you, Andrew. This Louis became the oldest IndyCar driver in history when he contested the 1965 Pikes Peak Hill Climb. This Louis became the oldest IndyCar driver in history when he contested the 1965 Pikes Peak Hill Climb.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with Louis Strang.
We're gonna say it's Louis Unser. 69 years, 3 months, and 19 days he drove in a championship car race. The Pikes Peak Hill Climb used to be a championship car race, as we watch Clinworth and Mitchum, and they start strolling away from leader Chris Stouffer, who's built an 8-second advantage, by the way, over Matt Wagner. Richie Hearn has gone past Craig Forsyth into the third spot, and so move Hearn to third, Forsyth to fourth. And I think that time behind Gary Lovern early really hurt the tires on that 99. Louis Unser is also the oldest IndyCar winner. He won the Pikes Peak Hill Climb 1953. Again, a championship car race back in those days. 57 years, 5 months, and 22 days old. So Louis Unser, that would be the patriarch of the Unser racing family.
Did not know there was a Louis Unser, so that's very interesting stats indeed.
Yeah, he won the Pikes Peak Hill Climb 9 times. He is the first generation. The second generation, all brothers, Jerry Unser, Bobby Unser, and Al Unser. And then from those three, we got Johnny Unser, Al Jr., and Robbie Unser. And then the fourth generation is Al the Third. So there you go. That's the family tree. But Louis Unser, pretty successful family at Indianapolis. He the oldest driver to win an IndyCar race. I'll give you another semi-difficult one. This Louis was the first entrant of the first Indianapolis 500. First entrant for the first Indianapolis 500 and was awarded the pole as such.
Let's go with Chevrolet on that one.
So that was Louis Strang, the famous picture of him with the speedway layout in chalk by the old house. That's Louis Strang, and that picture was taken approximately where the turn 2 suites are now. So that was Louis Strang, 1911 Indianapolis 500. But well, he was the first starter. The pace car was driven by Carl Fisher, and the pace car actually started the race on the pole position and then pulled off once the red flag was waved to start the race. How about that?
Is that when the bricks were still on the track?
Well, the bricks were still there through the 1950s down the front straightaway. Now, the corners were paved in the 30s, but there were still bricks down the home straight through the 50s. It didn't get covered over until covered over until the early 60s, if I remember correctly. Can you imagine what we're watching Guile Brooks as he works on Wayne Campbell? This is 6th and 7th. Can you imagine what it was like to drive those front engine roadsters over the bricks at 100 and whatever it was, 150, 160 miles an hour? Talk about a pounding. Those guys would have had to have been just absolutely. I mean, I think about how tired we are doing it in a simulator on a perfectly smooth surface. I mean, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway now is noted for having for the racing surface being so smooth that it's likened to a billiard table. Can you imagine doing it on bricks in a stiffly sprung roadster? My goodness gracious.
Yeah, well, at least it's durable, but you don't know where the grip is.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to flip-flop back to this battle. It's Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly, Kurt Rose, and Frank Irwin Jr. still disputing the bottom part of the top 10. For what it's worth, Kyle Clinworth is now slower. Clinworth and Mitchum now slower than Chris Stouffer, who continues to pull away from Matt Wagner, now 10 seconds over Wags. And Richie Hearn has started to reel in Wagner for second. And so once that becomes a battle, we'll get to it. This is the closest contact on the course, and I think I know why Clinworth is kind of stalled out in his run. Let's jump on his roll bar. He's caught that battle, and so that's why he started to slow down. he's got traffic ahead, and that is not what Kyle Clinworth needs to make this strategy work, Andrew.
Well, I find it interesting that Mason Mitchum has dropped back a little bit, and I'm wondering if that's maybe to keep Christopher at bay, and perhaps Mitchum is falling on the sword a little bit to allow Clemmer to get that extra gap forward, because if he can keep Stouffer behind him, kind of like what Coker was doing at the end of the last stint, that allows Clemmer to get a little bit extra gap and thus getting him a little bit further ahead on the track. So when he stops, he should be able to get ahead of Christopher on that next pit stop.
I don't know that Stouffer's close enough. He's something like 3 seconds almost in arrears of Mason Mitchum. You see Mitchum go through on Bill Burrell there for 14th. But there's Christopher. He's coming. But the next car to him is a teammate in Bill Burrell. I wouldn't imagine that Burrell would give Christopher all that much trouble going through. But we'll see, right? And the other thing is, Stouffer is close to making a pit stop, and so if he gets in traffic, he's going to have to make 2 more. He hits traffic, he's just going to pull it he's going to pull it down the pit lane anyway. Jim Herrick has acquired another meatball, and so he is going to be out of this one. Jim Herrick pulling it toward the pit lane. Let's take a look at Herrick. He's got the right front askew on that automobile. Let's see what's happened to Jim Herrick. Turn 2 gets him again, Andrew. Almost identical to the contact he had earlier.
Another spot grabbed by Clemworth and Mitchum from Joseph Morales, who is also ducked into the pit lane. So Morales is taking a pit stop right now. The number we need to get home, I think, Murph, is around 93, 94 or so. So that's what
90.
Yeah,
93 will technically get you home. You're going to have to save. 94, you're going to feel a little bit better about it. 95 is fairly easy. I would want to get to 96, because if I can get to 96, that means that I can turn it all the way up and have the full complement of the horsepower the whole way home as Chris Stouffer brings it down the pit lane.
So definitely going to be a splash needed for Stouffer, and also probably for the other drivers on that strategy. But yeah, Stouffer was starting to fall back a little bit, but it's going to be interesting to see how difficult it is for Clemworth to get through this traffic. It's a lot of cars up ahead of him.
It is indeed. That's going to turn the lead back over to Matty Wagner. So here's Wags. He runs along in the lead. He's got Richie Hearn about 1.7 seconds behind him. He's within the draft, and Hearn just hit the wall. Richie Hearn did not get the meatball, but he definitely clocked the wall coming off of turn number 2. Just gave it a kiss. Andrew, don't know how bad that hurts it. He's staying out on the course, but a nice hit for Richie Hearn. That's dropped him back into the clutches of Craig Forsyth, Frank Irwin Jr., too fast exiting pit lane, so he's going to have to come back and do a drive-through. Waiting on Matt Wagner to hit the pits for his second to last stop. He's been out 30 laps. Critically for Chris Stouffer, he has come out 2 seconds ahead of Kyle Clinworth, and both of those cars now have one more stop, Andrew, as Wags comes to the pit lane. Also, Richie Hearn.
Yep. Richie Hearn did pick up damage. I saw on the floor there after his turn 2 hit, as you were talking. And Bill Burrell and Frank Irwin Jr., like you mentioned, also came into the pits. I think Bill Colley also has taken a pit stop. And, yeah, it's going to get busy down on pit road very shortly here.
It is indeed. Nicholas Stockner would be your leader. Well, no, Craig Forsyth is your leader. He has not stopped. So Forsyth continues on 28 laps on his current run. Now, Forsyth is an interesting case. He ran 35 laps the last time. He is not stopping. If he can get to, he's going to start his 29th. He's completed 29 laps now. He goes 6 more. He's in range of cutting the stop, and he has got about 20 seconds on Chris Stouffer and about 23 seconds on Clinworth. Now, might that be interesting? That's a real tortoise in the hare story. And look at the speed for Craig Forsyth. He is definitely babying that Forsyth Racing machine. 213.8 the last time through. Stockner 217. Wayne Campbell 217. Stouffer up over 221. And so, can Craig Forsyth play champion balloon foot and steal one here, Andrew?
Nope. No chance for Forsyth, because if he does make it to lap 90 and does 35 laps, he will have to run extra slow and save fuel in the next stint, and that's not going to be enough to catch Clemworth and Mitchum. And
well, he's getting ready. He's getting ready to start lap 90. If he goes 35 laps again, he would come in on lap 95, which would essentially mean he could run full rich to the end, or in a slight save. So here comes
so much time.
Yeah, he's losing time for sure. It's all down to when Craig Forsyth is going to pit. This is going to be interesting. Guile Brooks also still out on the racing surface. So Guile Brooks, give Guile his due. He's running along in second, but he is right. He's going to be in the clutches of Chris Stouffer here pretty soon. And you see the interval from Stouffer back to Larry Yingling. Back there, Guile Brooks gets passed by Joseph Morales, and that's probably the best thing that could happen for Guile if he's trying to stretch it, to have a car in front of him. Craig Forsyth has no help, and he's going for another, Andrew.
Yep, Gary Lovern in the pits and out cleanly, as well as Wayne Campbell and Nicholas Stockner as well. I think Ryan Kelly is the next car to dive down pit road, if I'm not mistaken.
So we've flopped it to 35 to go. If Forsyth stops this time, he'll have 34. If he goes 34 laps on this run, he would pit with 32 to go, and he'll be able to run much faster than he is now. He's already done 32 laps. The advantage, 18 seconds. He is not going to be able to do it. So Craig Forsyth will stop with 34 laps to go. He did 33 on this stint, and that is going to turn the lead back over to his teammate Chris Stouffer. Guile Brooks on lap 32 of his run. Is Guile going to go for another? He is.
He does go for another. Yep, Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly down pit road, Craig Forsyth down pit road. That leaves Guile Brooks, like you said. I believe Kurt Rose as well needs to pit. And then I think that should be the field that's done with their pit stops. Yeah, it's Guile Brooks and Kurt Rose that are on a definite fuel save strategy here. And if they can cut out a pit stop, not cut out a pit stop, but lessen their time down pit road and save a little bit of fuel, then they could jump a few cars that we're not really considering right now.
Well, everybody's got one more stop. If you're Guile Brooks, you've made it 33. He's going to come in this time, so he made 34. So we know he can go to the end. Can Guile Brooks? Is Kurt Rose going to stop? Kurt Rose is going to bring it down to pit lane. He made it 30. This will be his 35th lap when he crosses the line, and that's going to hand the lead back to Chris Stouffer. Everybody is even Steven now. Kyle Clinworth is going to have to make one more stop. Clinworth, 8 seconds down to Chris Stouffer through the cycle. So the staying out strategy has not necessarily worked for Kyle Clinworth. He runs second. Chris Stouffer has everything moving in the right direction. He's got the best tires. He's going to be able to go another 22 laps, so he's going to have to stop anywhere between 10 to 15 laps to go. I assume he will put in enough fuel to get to the end at max fuel. I would also assume he's going to bolt on 4 tires, Andrew. And if everything holds serve, Chris Stouffer should be able to cruise home from here.
Well, it was a really, really valiant effort, especially for Mason Mitchum, that was buried in the teens at the start of the race. So I think all things considered, that's a win for him. Kyle Clemworth did start towards the front, and he tried that stay out strategy. If he was able to do it and completely beat out everyone else around him, that would have been a really good strategy from him as well, but definitely a positive for Mason Mitchum.
It is. Now, Craig Forsyth came out behind and in the draft of Richie Hearn with significantly fresher tires, about 5 laps. So we'll see if Forsyth is able to get some help. We know Hearn can't make it, but is he going to back up to Forsyth and kind of tow him around and save Craig some fuel? Might there be some team tactics involved there? Frank Irwin Jr. with the meatball, and he has retired his car.
Huge wreck from Frank Irwin Jr., and that should have brought a caution out, but he got that car towed just in time. That was easily a caution with a huge hit on the turn 2 wall, similar to Jim Herrick.
And that would have bailed everybody out, put everybody on the same strategy and full gas home. Here you're going to see the accident for Frank Irwin Jr. Kisses the outside of the turn 2 wall, and that is a scary hit. Very reminiscent of P.J. Chesson and Jeff Bucknam at the start of the 2006 Indianapolis 500. Very hard lick, and Frank Irwin Jr. is out of this race. Forsyth is now falling back of teammate Richie Hearn. Shane Coker has made his final stop. And that may be a valid strategy for Coker as well, even though he's a lap down. There are only 9 cars on the lead lap. Gael Brooks is the final car on the lead lap, 38 seconds. So he's got Stouffer coming. But Gael, we think, might be able to make it home, Andrew.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight one for Gael Brooks. He has to do, what, 32 laps or 33?
He's got to do 32. He and Kurt Rose are on the 32 lap plan. Critically for Kurt Rose, he is latched on to Larry Yingling and Ryan Kelly. Now, those are 2 cars that we don't believe can make it home from here. But Kurt Rose, he's about, he's 6 or 7 seconds behind Gael Brooks, but he's got the draft. And he is running significantly slower. So Kurt Rose, my read is he's not going to stop. And neither, I don't think, are the cars of Yingling and Ryan Kelly, because they are very slow too. Their last lap, 41.8, 41.9. Chris Stouffer, he's running around 40 right at 41 flat, and has built a 13-second lead. Clinworth has just come in and made his pit stop. He'll come out 1 lap down in 8th, and now it's all about the differential between Clinworth and Stouffer on the final stop. Clinworth is going to be full rich to the end from here, Andrew. So too Stouffer. Gael Brooks has now found Wayne Campbell, and I wonder if he's abandoned the save, because he is now faster than pretty much everybody on the track with the exception of Stouffer and Wagner.
Are you, who are we talking about now? Are we talking about
Gael?
Gael, yeah.
I think he's turned it up and said, "Look, I don't know that I can make it." But Kurt Rose is definitely the car that I would be interested in to make it home, because he is significantly slower and he's got a significant draft. So we'll keep an eye on those cars. Or maybe Gael turned it up just to get in the draft and make it easier to get home.
Yeah, it wouldn't really benefit much to try and battle the cars up ahead, especially if they all have to come in for a splash at the end. But he probably sees that Clemworth can be full rich and is only about a half a straightaway back. So if Gael Brooks can turn the wick down a little bit just to save that extra fuel, and then possibly hold off Clemworth once his tires really start to wear out, then it's a possibility that Brooks can do it.
Yeah, and you can hear him lifting big in the corners. He's going to get past Nicholas Stockner here for 6th. Gael Brooks goes through turn number 3 on the bottom of the speedway. And so maybe it's a situation where he just said, look, I'm going to turn it up. I'm going to get in a draft and go a little bit faster. Wayne Campbell, not a car that we think that can make it home. And so he's going to be going full scoot here. And maybe that's the play from Gael Brooks. Joseph Morales coming off of pit road. While we follow Gael Brooks and his battle to make it home, we are going to give Andrew Wood the final question in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway IndyCar drivers named Louis. This Louis finished second and third in his two best Indianapolis 500 finishes in a Frontenac Ford. This driver finished second and third in his two best Indianapolis 500 starts, driving a Frontenac Ford.
Oh man, that has to be Chevrolet. It's the only one left.
It is Louis Chevrolet, Gaston Chevrolet.
But it was such a brain teaser because you said Ford.
Well, and so that's the whole point, right? The Chevrolet brothers very celebrated at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If you go to the museum, there is a statue of the Chevrolet brothers just outside of the museum. But they had their greatest racing successes driving Fords. And the reason for that being that by the time the Indianapolis 500 had come around, or their time as drivers in the 500 had come around, William Durant, who owned Buick, had bought the Chevrolet Motor Car Company, and basically had forced the Chevrolet brothers out of their own company, and so they sold their stock. They started developing Frontenacs, which were essentially Fords that had been engineered for more of a racing spec. And the Chevrolet brothers, Kyle Brooks smacks the wall coming off of two. The Chevrolet brothers had their greatest successes at Indianapolis driving Fords. How about that?
I'm still wrapping my head around it, Murph.
The other fun thing is the Chevrolet brothers are all buried in Indianapolis. A lot of people don't realize that. You would think Detroit, but they're all buried in Indianapolis, as Kyle Clinworth has caught Gael Brooks. The other thing about that is that the emblem of the Chevrolet Motor Company, most people would think that that's a bow tie. It's actually a modified Swiss cross. Clinworth going to go under Gael Brooks, so move Clindy to fifth. It's a modified Swiss cross because the Chevrolet brothers were from Switzerland originally before immigrating to the United States.
That's some trivia I hope I can use later in my life, Murph.
You know, it most certainly is. And for the lightning round, as we await the final pit stop from Chris Stouffer, Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth, we'll give you the lightning question. What is AJ Foyt's favorite brand and flavor of ice cream? You will find copious amounts of this ice cream brand and flavor in garage number 1 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, should you ever care to look. There's a giant freezer full of it.
Chocolate chip.
It's not chocolate chip. Bluebell vanilla ice cream. The last time I had a bronze badge, we spied 24 gallons in garage bay number 1. Chris Stouffer into the pit lane.
Now I want ice cream. Thank you for that.
It is a tasty treat, and we're going to follow the pit stop for Chris Stouffer. He's made it safely to the pit lane. He's got 19 laps to go. He's going to get tires and just enough fuel to get himself home. Also on the pit lane in the background is Bill Colley. But this is the money stop for Chris Stouffer. Up on the jacks, I anticipate about a 7-second pit stop, 8.4 for Stouffer. Down and away, and Chris Stouffer, we'll see where he blends out, but this is the race for the Area 51 Indianapolis 500K. Wagner through into the lead. Forsyth is second. Where does Stouffer blend out in relationship to Kyle Clinworth?
Way ahead.
Well, he's still getting up to speed. Clinworth is following Wayne Campbell. He's got to get through 3 and 4 to really know what the gap is going to be, but it's going to be about 3 seconds.
While you were doing some trivia with me, I watched, unfortunately, Richie Hearn's day has gone in the wrong direction. He's taken the turn 2 wall down for a second time, and he had a lengthy repair down pit road. So Richie Hearn is now quite far down the order.
Yeah, Richie Hearn now 17th. Matt Wagner has pulled his car into the pit lane. So now the question becomes, can Craig Forsyth make it home, and does that make any difference? Forsyth only has about a half a second advantage over Chris Stouffer, and Forsyth, even if he gets a yellow, I don't know if that helps him because Stouffer, having just pitted, would stay out, and I would imagine so too would Clinworth. And so the best he could hope for would be third. But does Stouffer slow down and help Forsyth make it home? That's another question.
I don't think so. It's Indianapolis. It's time to go and flex your muscle. And Stouffer has had a stranglehold on the entire field all race long, pretty much. He had that 10-second lead earlier. I think he's going to want to win this and win this handily.
Yeah, I don't think, even if he tows Forsyth around, even if he slows down a little bit to help Craig, his teammate, I don't know that Forsyth has enough gas to make it. And he'd have to do 34 more laps. Let's see, 34 more laps from here, and or 15 more laps from here. That put him at 34, and I don't know that without significant drafting help that Craig Forsyth can make it. He needs a yellow in the worst possible way. But even then, I don't know that it helps him because he'd have to pit, and I don't know how many cars would pit. Certainly Stouffer wouldn't. I don't know that Clinworth would either, come to think of it.
Yeah, if a yellow were to come out, I think Forsyth's best move is just to stay out, despite the tire situation, because track position will help, especially once the cars get wound up, perhaps if it's just a 2 or 3 lap run to the end. But, I mean, your yellow could come from this large pack of cars. I mean, Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly, and Kurt Rose have been pretty much together. Ryan Kelly seems to be lifting right now. This group of 3 here with Yingling, Kurt Rose, and Ryan Kelly have been nose to tail literally for 60 laps now, and the battle just continues and continues. And you got Gary Lovern and Bill Colley on fresher tires behind. They're a lap down. They don't know what really do. It looks like Bill Colley might look, but if there's a yellow, it's going to come from this pack right here.
I don't disagree, and the other thing is they're going really slow. Larry Yingling 42.550 last time. He's almost 2 seconds off the leader, and what does that translate to in terms of speed? Larry Yingling 10 miles an hour off the pace of Chris Stouffer as Kyle Clinworth has made it past into the lead. These cars obviously trying to make it home. I don't know that they'd lose all that much if they stop, though. That's the other thing. I mean, they might lose a spot to Shane Coker, maybe Bill Burrell, but I don't. Well, Bill Burrell's not going to be able to make it either. He's been out 28 laps, so he'll have to stop. Wayne Campbell has just blinked. He's pulled it into the pit lane. But that's the other interesting. And look too, Andrew. What if one of these guys runs out? You're Larry Yingling. He's been pulling this train very slowly. But even slowly, he runs out of gas in front of Kurt Rose, Ryan Kelly, Gary Lovern, and Bill Colley. There's going to be a mess.
Well, we have Kurt Rose also on a fuel save as well, so I'm sure he's just kind of chilling there. But you can't mention that without mentioning Kyle Brooks, who's sitting in 5th place, and we don't know if he's going to stop. He seemed to make it on a long stint last time around. It's quite possible that he might lose one more spot, but if Kyle Brooks doesn't need to pit again, that's over 10 positions gained this race.
Yeah, I mean, and what a run for Kyle Brooks. He's going to have to make it 32 laps, which is very, very doable, even without a draft. If you've got the thing leaned all the way out, Andrew, you can make 32 laps pretty easily. Larry Yingling in this crew, though, going very slowly as we see Bill Burrell. He'll bring it down for his final stop. with 11 laps to go, and well, effectively 12 for him. He'll be a lap down. Guile Brooks has started to pull away now from Nicholas Stockner, so he's made it into the fifth spot, and handily so. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, we got a big crowd on hand for this one. Make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so that you can get in on all the iRacing fun. We're off tomorrow night, Andrew, but then the big ones, the AMA Thursday and Friday, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start, and time slot number 1 for the iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 Open, 9 o'clock Friday night. Dual streamed P1 and iRacing on all of their platforms. It's a huge deal for us as a channel, and so we appreciate everybody tuning that one in, either on iRacing, YouTube, Twitch, Insta, Facebook, however you choose to do that, or right here on P1. I was looking at the numbers, Andrew. The first time slot of fixed actually drew pretty similar to the big show on Saturday, which was pretty interesting.
That's good stuff. Everyone wants to tune in to see these cars go around this rectangle, this very, very fast, what is it, 2.5 mile oval, right?
It's 2.5 miles. So are we going to – Kurt Rose has gone past Larry Yingling, and I think that's Kurt Rose saying, all right, I've had enough. I've saved enough. I can turn it up and comfortably go by you guys. Nicholas Stockner has the meatball, and he is very slow. There's Stockner. We'll go back and figure out what's happened to him. Wasn't in turn 4. He's going to go up. Did he catch the wall there? He did not. He was very slow down the back, so we'll see what's happened to Nicholas Stockner. 8 laps to go. Chris Stouffer, by the way, still boasts now a 3-second lead in there. He has smacks the wall coming off of turn number 2, and how many times have we seen that today? Stockner on the pit lane, but Stouffer is your leader, 3.2 seconds over this man, Kyle Clinworth. The petrol is holding out so far from Craig Forsyth, and now he's got Richie Hearn towing him around. Hearn had that lengthy repair. He's 2 laps down, 17th, and so he's going to help Craig Forsyth get home. Mason Mitchum in 4th. You see him in the Votive Racing League machine. In that 4th spot, he is closing down Craig Forsyth pretty rapidly. And in 5th, you've got Guile Brooks, and he's got contact from Matty Wagner in 6th. Wagner pitted 10 laps ago, and so he's got much fresher tires, and I would anticipate right here he's going to drop Guile Brooks back to 6th. Still a fantastic run for Guile, though. He's up 12 spots, or 11 spots now, rather, from his 17th on the grid.
I'm very intrigued by this mind games that are going on with Larry Yingling and this whole pack here. It's like Bill Colley and Gary Lovern are just sick and tired of being there. They could easily pass these guys, but for some reason, Gary just doesn't want to get involved, perhaps because Kurt Rose passed Yingling and took off. I mean, Kurt Rose is seconds up the road now, so it just shows how much Larry Yingling's off the pace. Bill Colley, I think he touched the wall there.
Yeah, I think he got a piece of it for sure, and now Gary Lovern, he's going to drop to the inside of Ryan Kelly.
I mean, Lovern could have passed him laps and laps and laps ago, so I think Gary is just at this point, he's already lapped down. He's saying, I'm done. I'm done with this lifting into every corner. Let's just get up and go, and it won't be long before he dispatches Larry Yingling either. But it's been a very, very interesting situation to watch.
It has, and the other thing is that car at the very back of that is Chris Stouffer. You know, Lovern and Colley are in a fight for position, right? So, those two are 14th and 15th. A position is a position. Lovern runs the full championship. He doesn't want to give away points. He also doesn't want to go 2 laps down. At this point, if a yellow came out, it would end the race, but
Colley is damaged now, though, after that turn 2 wall. I just checked his car, and nothing really to say about that battle between him and Gary, but Larry Yingling comes down pit road.
Yeah,
so he's a splash for him.
Yeah, he's going to have to take the splash and go. And that's a huge deal for the points. Ryan Kelly trying to stay out and limit the damage. Clinworth, as it stands now, should go back into the points lead, although it would not be by much. Bill Colley, even with the damage, has started to pull away now from Ryan Kelly. That is not a battle for position. The eyes, though, need to turn to this man, Christopher. He is 2.3 seconds ahead of Kyle Clinworth. He's going to have 5 miles to go this time by.
I'm not sure what's happened to Mitchum. You know, he and Clinworth were together. Now Clinworth is several seconds up the road, and he's stuck behind Craig Forsyth, who we also don't know if he can make it the rest of the way. It's 2 laps to go, so I imagine Forsyth has done the math correctly to see if he can make it. But yeah, Mitchum hasn't been able to do much with him at all, and his compatriot is now 7.5 seconds up the road. 9.5 seconds up the road, actually.
Yeah, Mason Mitchum is in the battle with Craig Forsyth. Forsyth, though, with the help from Richie Hearn, I think he's going to have enough to make it home. Christopher has the white flag, and as long as he can make 2 more corners, he's going to have the win. And Bill Colley hits the wall in front of him. Colley's going to stay up on the outside wall and out of the way. It is the last lap. There's no yellow flag. Christopher gets past that incident, but his heart rate had to have gone up about 30 points. Stouffer.
Ooh, Forsyth says he's going to run out of fuel. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition. But I was checking in on Guile Brooks, and Kurt Rose has gotten by him. So Kurt Rose did a really, really good job saving all the fuel.
All right, here's Forsyth. Does he make it? That car is sputtering. He's got the clutch in. Mason Mitchum is going to come through and grab the final spot on the podium. Craig Forsyth is going to finish 4th.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, the fuel strategy worked for Kurt Rose. Didn't work so good for Guile Brooks. He's going to make it, but actually he's not going to make it. Guile Brooks is out of fuel on the back straightaway, but Kurt Rose is going to make it.
Yeah, Kurt Rose is going to come through and finish 6th. Guile Brooks out of gas, and that's a sickening feeling. You can hear dead stick for Guile Brooks. I don't even know if he's going to have enough steam to make it all the way back. The speed is dropping rapidly, now below 65 miles an hour. It's going to get below 60 here. I don't know that Guile Brooks can coast home.
We'll keep this going until he gets there. He's going to make it.
Well, I don't know. It's below 40. Is it gonna get there? 35 miles an hour. Can Guile Brooks finish?
He needs to jump up and down like he's in a go-kart, you know.
I mean, he could pull the Nigel Mansell and get out and push. Maybe Gary Lovern can get up behind him and push him in. I don't think he's going to make it.
He needs to stop with the wheel inputs. Honestly, that's going to hurt him more than anything. Oh man, it's going to be so close for Brooks, and now he's going to roll up against pit wall. Oh no!
20 miles an hour. If you're Guile Brooks, you got to get home, man. But the finish line, and people don't realize, the finish line is not in the middle of the front stretch at Indianapolis. It's all the way down to turn number 1. So even though he's on the home straight, he's on pit lane, he's still got to coast another couple hundred yards here, and that car is moving at a brisk 13 miles an hour.
You want to talk about excitement in Indy. You want to make sure you do all 500 miles. You don't want to do 499.99 miles, and I think he's going to get there.
You don't. There's the yard of bricks. There's the flag stand. Is there enough to get him home? Come on, Guile. He's going to make it at a hot 7 miles an hour, Andrew, for good enough for 9th place. Guile Brooks.
Definitely wants to be one of those guys that pushes his car across the finish line. But I'm sure you got some history on that one.
Well, Ralph De Palma did that in 1912. He didn't win the race. He didn't even finish 2nd. I believe he was credited with like 8th or 9th. I'll have to look that up for you, Andrew. really quickly. Let's see. Joe Dawson famously won that race. Ralph De Palma led 198 laps in that one, all but the first and the last. He was credited with 11th. Excuse me, 196 laps, all but the first two and the last two. Joe Dawson famously roared past him. His riding mechanic that day was Pete DiPaolo, who later won the Indianapolis 500 in his own right, driving a Duesenberg of all things. The winner tonight, Chris Stouffer. He'll bring it home with the W. Kyle Clinworth will be second. Mason Mitchum is going to round out your podium. In fourth, Craig Forsyth coasts at home. Matty Wagner is fifth. Kurt Rose sixth. He made it on fuel. Wayne Campbell seventh. Ryan Kelly very slowly home in eighth. And Guy L. Brooks coasts the Area 51 special home. Last car on the lead lap in ninth. Shane Coker is going to be credited with 10th. 1 lap down. In 11th, it's Joseph Morales. Larry Yingling 12th. He didn't make it. Bill Burrell battles back to 13th. Gary Lovern 14th. Richie Hearn, great run, went up in smoke. 2 laps down in 15th. Bill Colley, the last of the finishers, in 16th. Nicholas Stockner, Frank Irwin Jr., Jim Herrick, Eric Peterson, out of the race 17th through 20th. Charles T., Jeff Hysong, 21st and 22nd. Both drivers failed to finish the event tonight. Whew. Between the excitement and the trivia, Andrew, I'm out of breath.
It was definitely one for the books.
It most certainly was, and we're going to bring in one of the drivers that helped write it into the books, Mason Mitchum. Mace, you've got Murph, you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
I do.
So you and Clinworth went off on a different strategy than race winner Chris Stover. Kind of let us in on your thought process, staying out and deciding to play the rabbits rather than.
Yeah, on those first few laps, like I think it was maybe 15 laps, however long it was before that first caution happened. I noticed that we could make it to the end on, even though it was alternate strategy, and I also knew it was hard to pass out there. I was in the middle of the pack, and I was like, I might as well pass all these cars for free, because in the race itself, you have very few laps before you can't pass anybody, at least not very easily. And so I was like, well, why don't I just take 6-7 spots or however many it was, get up to second place, and then we just can swap each other and get to the end. The first stint was pretty rough because we had to be in map 5 to make it work. And then we kind of didn't necessarily calculate that we would catch up to traffic as easily as we did. And I think if we would have calculated that slightly better, we probably could have did better than what I did. It would have been hard, but at least maybe made it even closer to Stouffer in my case, and maybe the win for Lindy. So it was an interesting strategy. I liked it. It was different, better than being stuck in line the entire time. And I've been kind of bored of Indianapolis, so I was like, let's try something different, and that got us a chance to do something. I am slightly sad that I couldn't get through the traffic as good as Clindy, but I mean, there's just levels to this game, and I think over the next year, I'll be focusing on just forget qualifying. It's time to start just going through the field every race, start from the back, and just get to the point where passing cars is extremely simple, or at least easier, and then I'll be up there with the top people, I think.
Yeah, Mason, I was curious actually towards the end of the race why you happened to fall so far back, as it seemed like you and Clemworth were kind of working together and staying close to one another. So was it just a matter of traffic that got in the way, or perhaps a little bit of early tire roasting that put you so far back to stay up closer to your teammate?
I think it's just one of those things where, and we kind of talked about it, where whenever he came out of the pit, he was maybe like a second ahead of me out of the pits, and so you're already kind of like on the edge of, if you don't do anything correctly on like the pit exit lane, you could lose a little bit of time there. But mainly what happened was when I came out of the pits, I got stuck behind a lap, or not necessarily a lap car, but a car on a different strategy, and he was able to latch on to somebody in front of him, and next thing you know, that just creates a pretty big swing in times, and he's able to rocket ahead, and I'm unfortunately lost my momentum, basically, is the best way to put it, and now I have to find a way to get around these people that are on relatively similar tires. I think they weren't dead, basically, right? And so kind of slowed me down, and then I'm just not as good at getting through traffic.
Well, it makes you were good enough to get on the podium, and that's always an achievement when you come here to Indianapolis. Now we start the grind to qualify for the big show, and I'm sure that you're going to be well involved in that. With that said, thank you so much for stopping in and stopping by. Great run tonight, friends, family, sponsors. Shout them out. The floor is yours.
Yeah, definitely. So, I know my girlfriend Mariella's watching like every race. I actually hear it in the living room in there. So, maybe she didn't fall asleep. We'll find out. I'm starving, so if you hear me, let's go get some food after this is over. And then I'm actually starving right now. And then, yeah, like you said, I want to give a shout out to Shane Coker. Shane always does great things for us in the Votive Racing League. Puts on a great league. Of course, while we're talking about it, I want to talk about Craig Forsyth. He does a great job here in Area 51, and of course, even though he beat me the other day in the fixed 500 and he passed me in the pits, and I'm going to remember that for a long time, I think he did a great job today, making it an interesting race by heating up the track a little bit and making strategies work. So good job, Craig. We'll be back in Area 51 next season to have some fun, and I'll see you guys at P1 hopefully soon.
Absolutely, Mace. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you at the next one.
Yep.
That is Mason Mitchum. He is your third place finisher this evening. For second, we're going to bring in a familiar face. It's Kyle Clinworth. Clindy, you've got Murphy, you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. So same question that I asked Mace. Mason, kind of walk us through the strategy call to go off and do your own thing, and then kind of unwind what went sideways with it.
Yeah, so nothing went sideways. We knew that when that yellow came out, in order to cut a stop by pitting there, you would have to go 33 or 34 laps on the remainder of your stints. And you saw with Craig, who tried to make that happen, like he ran out of fuel and was pretty slow trying to do it. So we felt comfortable staying out, inheriting the lead, and using the clean air to our advantage, even if we had to run a little bit in map 3 or map 5 to kind of make the number and give up, a little bit of overall track time just to be nicer to our tires and keep to our regular schedule of 32, 32, 32, 32. But, we did 34, I think, on the first one, which let us do 32 on the next one. But we actually got 33 on the one after that because of a little bit of traffic, and that let us go 30-30 to the end. We didn't consider catching traffic, and if we had, that's the 2 second difference between me and Stouffer is that he, on I think it was my penultimate run, I got stuck behind 3 lappers like Kurt Rose and 2 other guys, or they were for position for me, but ultimately we would end up finishing basically, they would be end of the lead lap and I finished second, right?
Yeah, it worked out. For sure. Yeah,
but being behind those 3 guys while Stouffer came out right in front of them on clean tires and just took off and did the rest of his stint in clean air, and if I had just dispatched those guys right before Stouffer had pit and then had Stouffer pull me along, we would have been side by side that whole last run to the finish. And that's kind of the critical point. But the 2 strategies I think were very evenly matched. If you were running first or second on either of them. I'm not quite sure where Wagner came home, but Mason and I got P2 and P3, and Stouffer obviously got P1. When you're leading on the fast strat, it's really easy to go fast. So I would do it again every time, given the situation. I knew that running 4th or 5th behind 2 4D cars who were crazy fast, Craig and Chris, and then behind Wagner and I think there was one other car in front of me. Jim Herrick started in front of me, but yeah, I ended up finishing second instead of 4th, I think. Probably is the difference on the strategy call.
All right, so I'm curious. So you stay out on the first yellow flag and you're leading, and obviously your tires are much more worn, but you have less fuel. Is it easy or difficult to get into some sort of swap drafting with Mason or any other driver for that matter once you're in that situation, knowing there's a lot of tire advantage behind you.
Yeah, I mean, we were really just focused on saving as much fuel as possible so we could go fast at the end. So we were both map 5 or map 3. Usually the leader was map 5 and then the chaser was map 3. So, and then you regenerate on the straightaway rather than into the corner, and you just let the other guy pass you. So it's not about going fast, it's about sharing the fuel economy.
Well, you made the strategy work, Clindy. You bring it home in second. The points are up. You're still you're still a little bit behind Ryan Kelly, -3 with 2 races to go. Dover and Gateway, both of those tracks very good for you, and so we would anticipate a good showing. Before we get there, though, you get the honors. Friends, family, sponsors. Microphone is yours.
Yeah, huge shout out to Shane Coker, the whole Votive Racing League. We'll be at Auto Club on Sunday, so tune into that one on P1. So thanks to you, Andrew and Mark, for putting on the broadcast. It's a bunch of unsung work, and we really appreciate having these league shows up on the air, up on the broadband or the broadcasted wavelengths for all the aliens everywhere in the galaxy to watch, because this is Area 51 after all. And then, of course, thanks to my mom. She's my biggest fan. She watches all my races. Couldn't go back to back tonight, but second place is just as good as a win, especially when you lead a bunch of laps and look smart doing it. So thanks to all my friends and family all around the world, wherever they may be. Very happy to have our pet tortoise Tally back home. She escaped from the yard, but she's back home safe and sound now. She went on a little adventure for 3 weeks. She came home unblemished, unbruised, just a little dirty. So survived the freezing cold. I like to think that she found a nice little warm little hole somewhere to bunker down, eat some snacks, and then woke up when the weather got nice, and then decided she missed having her shell scratched and just walked right back on home. That's my story, and that's exactly what happened, as far as anyone asks. Then my cousin Craig, who runs Suckerman Farms out in Minunk, shout out to him. And if you go to advanced.gg, you can buy water supplements for your drinks. You can get caffeine in them or green tea extract. And I think they do workout supplements pre and post. And you can use my promo code PlendySendy with a capital K and a capital S to get 10% off of your order. So that will be everything I have to say about all of that. Oh, of course, always thank you to all my teammates at Rogue Racing, IAR, and Satellite. The month of May has been testing for sure. The rectangle was kind to me tonight. We'll see if it is kinder to me even yet come Friday on the P1 broadcast of the top split Indy 500. So we'll see about that.
We will see indeed. Keep going fast, having fun, Clindy. We'll see you at the next one. That is Kyle Clinworth, and we are going to bring in Christopher here. We'll give him a second to make sure he knows he's being moved. And there's old Stouffer. Stouffer, you've got Murph, you've got Andrew Wood in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, yeah, I foxed him, old man. You decided to come in and pit early, and then you decided to stand on it rather than save it, and the net result was a 2.146 second victory over the cars that short pitted, and you were some 14 seconds clear of Craig Forsyth, who decided to save it. Was it just a matter of it was more comfortable to go fast than it was to save fuel?
Well, after that last caution that we had, I was trying to save a little bit of fuel, but while I was doing it, I realized, it's spread out as we're getting, it was going to be really difficult to save it in the next 2 stints. So at some point, I just put it back in fuel map 1 and let her go.
I'm interested to hear how you were able to pull out such a big lead on Wagner, especially in the second stint. Was it a lot of just pushing the car to the limit and going as fast as you possibly can, or do you think that it was just difficult to follow in the dirty air? And at what point in the race did you feel like you had some sort of advantage and possibly had the win going for you?
It was probably right after the first pit stop after we had that long green there. And, like I said, I realized, it was going to be really difficult to save it. So at that point, I was just kind of just hammer down and, just burning the tires off of it because you can't take them with you. And, just letting it go. On that last stop though, I cut it just a little too close on the fuel, so that's why I ended up letting the guy by and just sitting behind him. Then we caught a whole bunch of traffic, so I was a little worried there for a moment, but I saw the laps were ticking down. I knew how hard it was to follow because it was extremely difficult with the track temp that we had tonight and the setup. But it made for a very challenging race, so it was a lot of fun.
Well, winning is always fun, Chris, and you got to do that tonight. Big trophy to add to your collection. You move up to 4th place in the points. Still an outside shot to get it done with 2 races remaining. With that said, congratulations on the win. You know what to do from here. You got the mic.
Well, I thank you guys up here in the booth. Everybody putting on the league. Check out 4dracewear.com, and it was a good night. So hopefully we can get back here and talk to you next time.
It was indeed, Chris. Thank you so much for stopping by. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll put you.
I just want to say maybe I'll treat you to the Bloody Mary this time, Chris. 12 days.
Hey,
No,
sounds good.
no, I've got a Miller High Life Tall Boy ready for Andrew Wood. It's been sitting outside for about a month now, so he'll get to drink it in another 11 days.
That's disgusting.
There we go.
Keep going fast, having fun, Chris. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in 11 days too.
Yeah, that's right. I will see both.
That's right. But keep going fast, having fun, buddy. I'll put you back with Craig and Jim.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. That is Mr. Chris Stouffer, your winner this evening in the Area 51 tilt at Indianapolis 500K. Never a dull moment. Andrew, what are your thoughts as we head to the final 2 races of the season?
Well, listen, this championship is as close as it ever was, as it ever will be. As we always see here in Area 51, these races always have so much unpredictability to them. Tonight was a little bit more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit more spread out, and especially after those first 10 laps when everyone got about a second or more apart, and it was difficult to see how anyone could get that advantage. But the pit stop strategy was really what it came down to tonight, and yeah, it made it pretty exciting. So for the last couple of races, we've got to make sure these drivers show up and do their best. Every once in a while we see some drivers that are missing, but hopefully everyone makes it and puts on a good show for us.
Hopefully they do, and if you want good shows, keep it right here on P1. Tomorrow night, it's the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Friday, it's the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. Both of those races, 8:20 pre-race, 8:35 start, and that leads us into the big show. It's the 2026 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 Open Top Split Time Slot number 1, 9 p.m. Friday night, right here on P1, and that'll be co-streamed on all of iRacing's social platforms. No race Saturday. Sunday, we'll have the votive Indy Oval Series. Season 4, Round 8 from the Auto Club Speedway, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and that'll be a ton of fun. Andrew, you and I will both be in that race. Monday night, the IndyCar Series, Monday night Top Split Open Series, live from Adelaide, 8 o'clock Eastern, and they're going to be followed immediately by the Indy Next Road Series at 10 from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Tuesday night, next week, 1 week from tonight, it's a triple header. The IndyCar Oval Series Tuesday night Top Split from from Kansas. That goes at 8:15. And then at 9:30, it's the Indy Next Oval Series from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Freedom 100, right here on P1, 9:30. And then the nightcap, it's Area 51 After Dark, 9:30 race start from Dover. Do want to thank all the drivers on the track for tuning in, for their participation. Another great field on hand for Area 51. Want to thank all the fans in the stands. You guys are absolutely marvelous. Always great to see new faces pop up in that chat. Keep them coming, and thank you so much for your loyalty to P1. But we'd be remiss if we really didn't thank the people that really made it possible. The military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs driving the ambulance, and Andrew, the nurse that unloads you when you get there. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow night for the AMA at Dover. Have a good one, everybody.
Strap in, feel the hum in your hands. This is 4D. Heat on my palms, grip locked, heart racing. Shoes hit the pedal, whole room shaking. Jersey on my back, hair pulled low and blazing. Every turn I take, got the ghosts I'm chasing. 4D in my veins, feel that fire when I play, when I move, when I break, when I bang through the lane. 4D on my skin, when I lose, when I win, I'm alive in the light of the game I'm in. 4D, 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 it's different. Yeah, that's when it